Hey, welcome to this video lesson on Raymond Fairchild's grandfather clock solo. I'm going to leave a link to the YouTube video from which I transcribed this below. I'm going to play through it first, then I'll talk a little bit about the form, talk about the techniques, that sort of thing. And then I'll go line by line with the tablature and play through it. And at the very end, I'll just play through at a nice slow pace so you can see everything and maybe play along if you're learning it. Anyways, this is how it sounds. A 1, 2, a 1. Okay, so let's talk about the form of this tune. It's maybe a little bit confusing, but this is actually not the whole song that we're soloing through. This is a very long song when you listen to it. And one thing that really helped me to understand it was knowing that it's a rondo form. So if you don't know that term isn't thrown around that often, but a rondo basically just means you have an A section, like some sort of phrase, and then you go to something different, and then you come back to it. So you have an A section, then a B section, then back to the A section. Then maybe go to a C section, then back to the A section, then a D section, however long you want to do it. That kind of helped me understand this. So let's go through just the kind of all of the melodies of this so you can understand how the tune is in total. So the A section is this. I'll put the chords up. Ba da 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 dee da da do bum bum ba da dee bo da. So that's our A section, right? Nice to remember that. That's an 8-bar little melody that we have. So there's actually three sections of three big parts of this tune. So we have the verse, which is just two A sections. We have the pre-chorus, what I'm calling the pre-chorus, which is like a B and an A, and then the chorus, which is a C and an A. So let's go through this. So first the verse, I'll leave up the A section chords and you can hear it. I'm going to sing the lyrics. My grandfather's clock was too large for the shelf, so it stood 90 years on the floor. Then we have another A is still part of the verse. It was taller by half than the old man himself, though it weighed not a penny weight more. So that's our verse, two A's. Now we have this pre-chorus, so something a little bit different. Then we return to the chords of the A section melody. So it was bought on the morn of the day that he was born. It always his treasure and pride. That's our B. Now we back to the same melody, different words, but same melody. When it stopped short, never to go again, when the old man died. Now we have this kind of refrain section, I'll call it the chorus maybe. And it's a new thing, a C, and then back to the A section. So the C chords, 90 years without slumbering, tick tock, his life seconds numbering, tick tock. Now back to the A. It stopped short, never to go again, when the old man died. Right? So the solo is not on the whole verse, pre-chorus, chorus. we don't play on that verse. It's just the pre-chorus, chorus, pre-chorus, chorus. And this is actually 2 times through of that. So when you know that, it kind of helps you understand what we're going for. So I'm going to sing just the what we solo over. And one thing you'll notice is that tick-tock part, tick-tock, tick-tock, that's when we're doing these little harmonic sections. So that kind of helps it make more sense. But what we solo over is just this. It was born on the morn of the day that he was born, and always his treasure and pride. But it stopped short, never to go again, when the old man died. 90 years without slumbering, tick-tock, tick-tock, is 5 seconds numbering. Tick-tock, tick-tock, it stopped short, never to go again, when the old man died. So it's 2 times through that. So if you're playing this with other people, you want to make sure everybody knows who's soloing on what. You might have to say, okay, on this song we solo over just the pre-chorus and chorus. And I'll put a lead sheet up so you have all those chords that you can look at if you want to have the sheets to jam this with other people. That said, let's talk a little bit about some of the techniques that are being used in here. So probably the most interesting thing is very different use of thumb alternating. Like, I remember transcribing this, I find it a little bit awkward because it's just thumb alternating, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, middle, through a lot of this. But it's used in ways that I feel like I've never used thumb alternating before. And actually, on that note, I'm making a video for people who subscribe to my Melody of the Week program. I'll also put a link in below for that, which is a program in which I take a short melody each week and we kind of go through and figure out different ways of arranging it. I'm going to put a video up there about how to go through and arrange those melodies with some of these more advanced thumb alternating techniques. So if that interests you, check that out, because if you want to get more into using this style, particularly that's being used in this, that could be really helpful, understanding how to do it for different melodies rather than just learning this one. Okay, so that said, kind of more advanced thumb alternating techniques that we'll talk about as we go through. There's also this whole section of double stops, which is actually probably the easier part of the tune if you're really comfortable with seeing these chord shapes. If you're not comfortable with thirds and the G and C and D shapes up and down, it can be a little bit tricky. But we're not going to talk too much about that here in this lesson. We'll just kind of go through what's in the video. But if you like that, again, spend some time going through and trying out playing your thirds. And make sure that you're comfortable knowing all of your different G shapes and your C's and D's and that stuff, because that can make this relatively easy. Okay, that said, let's just jump right into it. So here's the pre-chorus, kind of this B section we call it. I'll put up the first line, and we have this pickup. G7 here. C. So one more time, just that line. This phrase on our thumb, so we have to make sure this next line we're starting with our index finger for this note. Oh, sorry, 3. Now we have this D chord. Now I don't know if you're familiar with this D chord shape, but we have 2 and 4 here. So we're just going to hold 2 and 4. Now here we have to do a hammer on, and it's best middle finger to third finger. Now this again is just thumb alternating. We're missing thumb, index, thumb, middle. We missed that first index, thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle. So that can be a little bit weird if you haven't practiced that. That last bar is kind of a good one to just get comfortable with that, that kind of strangeness. Okay, continuing on to the A phrase. Here we go. Now we have a 3 to 5 slide. Now this is where it's interesting. Noticing that I'm circling the melody notes. Ba, da, da, right? But we get this melody note here on the end of 3 with our index finger. And that's the tricky, that's a tricky use of thumb alternating roll that I don't think I've really done before, and I think it's really kind of interesting and useful. But I found this bar kind of tricky. So if that one's tricky, kind of go through it and just think about it. Ba, boo, ba. Right? Okay, continuing on. Ba, D. Keep going. So I'm going to mark a couple things. One is that first bar is also a little bit of a weird thumb alternating roll. At least I found it weird. So again, just thumb alternating, but because we're hitting that fifth string on beat 3, it can be a little bit odd if you've never practiced that before. So you might want to spend a bit of time with that. Now this third bar is actually a version of, it's a lick that gets used quite a bit. And I found it a bit strange, partially because you're going thumb, thumb, index, but we use this over and over again in this tune. So it's a lick that Raymond Fairchild likes to use. So it might be another thing that you want to just sit there and practice. And also, very, very usable lick. Anytime you're playing in the key of G, like anytime you could play this lick, you could do this, which is, to me, almost a variation of it. Okay, now let's take a look at this chorus section. So the C section, putting it up here. C chord, G. Now we have this rest. If you don't know what that squiggly line means, it means we mute, kill it. We have a beat where there's just nothing happening. Then we're getting harmonics. So you'll see these little diamond shapes over the tab. That means it's a harmonic. And what we're saying here is we're not actually holding down the 12th fret. What we're doing is we're just lightly touching over top of the string. Right? And what's cool about harmonics is when you hit them, you can take your hand right away and they'll keep ringing. Harmonics are most often used on the 12th fret, but you can also get them at the 7th and the 5th, and actually kind of all over, but those are the ones that people actually tend to use. Okay, continuing on. So this is the tick-tock part. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And notice I'm just doing it all with a barred finger. And I don't hold my finger there because often if you hold your finger there, you can mute it and not get as long a note. So you want to lift it as you get it. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Then the next line is almost a repeat. Kill it, right? Tick, tock, tick. Then here we hit this twice, just to make it a little bit different. Okay, now we have this last little A section at the end of the chorus. Next line. That's that lick. That's that lick again. Now these last two bars are part of the next part. So let me play this line one more time. Notice we have that lick twice just in this line. Okay, that was the first section of the solo. That could be your solo on this tune. I think if you're playing and jamming with other people, often that's one whole section, that pre-chorus and the chorus. But now we're going to do basically another arrangement of this, but up the neck with these double stops. So let's move on to our second pre-chorus. Now we're looking at the same form, pre-chorus, chorus. Now we're just doing it again. Okay? So here we go. We have this lead in 12, 13. Now here's our double stops. Now one thing I'll mention is I think I wrote index and middle on these, but if you want, you can do thumb and middle. It's nice to be able to do both because sometimes one makes sense more than the other. But in the case of this one, it doesn't matter whether you're index and middling for the double stops or thumb and middling for these ones. Okay, we start way up here on this G chord shape, which is 12 frets higher than our F G chord. So it's nice to see that. All right, and then we're just going down these thirds. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about these thirds, but it's nice to get these kind of basic shapes. Thirds are either done with third and pinky or middle and third finger. So you can kind of choose whichever one works the best in this case. But let's start this again. So we have 17 and 15, this G shape. Then 10 and 10, or sorry, 12 and 12, 10 and 10. Then we have another G shape. Right, now notice this is the D G shape that we have up here. Then we have a third here. And I would get that either second and middle or first and third. Then, okay, now here, this is a third here on 10 and 12. Make sure to get this with your third and pinky. And the reason I want you to think about this is because this is over a C chord. This part is a C chord. And I want you to kind of see that there is this F-shaped C here, right? F, G, A, B, C. And what we're doing is we're just adding the sixth note. Because this is the lick that you could do. And you could do this pretty much anytime you're playing a C chord. Okay, well let's, so 10 and 12, and then we'll lift the third finger off to 7 and 10. Again, that's that same shape we had from the G, the F chord shape. And just this chromatic walk down to this D shape of the G, the second string root. Okay. And we're sliding that first finger up to 12. That part's also a little bit tricky, but let's go through here. I'm going to do the first two notes, 12, 13, and these double stops. Okay, next line, all the way up here on 17, the fifth. Now one thing, when we get this F sharp note, we're actually making a D chord shape. Again, that same F shape, but up here. Boo. Just a forward roll, then a forward reverse roll. Now here, it's like a G, but we're just putting our third finger down. Forward reverse. This third of this G chord shape, if you know that you're playing this open G shape, 12 and 12. Now there's different ways of doing this, but I'm going to suggest that you go like this. You move the whole thing up 2 frets and put your middle finger down. So you've got these two notes, the 13 and 14 here for the C chord. And I want you to see that this is just a C chord shape moved up 12 frets. It's actually the D shape here. So I'm not holding all the notes, but it is this D shape chord. Now you get kind of this interesting bluesy note, the minor third, the sharp 9 here, by putting your thumb up and getting this note. So, all right, let's do this line again. Now we're going back to 12 and 12 right away. So this is why I want to do it with my middle and my pinky here, because I can put my third finger down and just slide it back to this 12 and 12. Then we have the D chord shape again. Then down here to this G chord shape solid good thing. Now, you think, okay, we got one whole more section, the chorus section left to do. I got to learn something new. But actually, this is identical to the first one. So let's just go through it really quick. First line again. That's the end. All right. So there's a lot of cool techniques. There's a lot of stuff we're working on here in this tune. So good luck with it. Don't feel overwhelmed by it all. If you want to, go through and learn chunk by chunk. You know, don't feel like you have to get all of it down. Even if you learn the first half of it, you can start applying it in jams and playing with friends. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play through it at a slow tempo so you can maybe play along. And I'll put the tab up as we go. So this is what it's going to sound like. A 1, 2, a 1. luck with this. Have fun. Till next time.